Welcome everyone to Webinar Wednesdays. We are excited to welcome Audrey Neff, Marketing Director of PatientNow. Audrey will be sharing her expertise in marketing and management success strategies to build a thriving anti-aging practice. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A section, and your questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. Audrey, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us today. Please begin when you're ready.
Thank you so much, Gina. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Welcome everyone. Want to give a huge thank you to A4M for allowing us to be a part of today's Webinar Wednesday. Very excited to be here with you all. I have been attending A4M events for many years. I must say that they are probably one of my, if not my favorite, in full disclosure, association in the industry. As Gina mentioned, my name is Audrey Neff. I'm the Director of Marketing for PatientNow, RX Marketing, as well as RX Photo. We actually work with 3,000 medical, aesthetic, and anti-aging and wellness clinics across the globe, primarily in the continental US. Just very excited to be here with you guys today. Gina and I were actually talking offline before this webinar, and we were kind of talking about business and marketing and how in this industry, specifically in elective medicine, in anti-aging and wellness, even in medical aesthetics as well, marketing and practice management is vital in the success of your practice. However, it often comes with a little bit of unique challenges. I would say it also comes with a bit of a misunderstanding, given that, I would assume everyone on today's webinar, you guys went to medical school and not business school, right? And I actually use that line a lot in the presentations and the lectures I give at, various conferences and associations across the country. So given that you guys, your specialty is medicine, your specialty is to care and provide a world-class 5-star, patient experience to all your clientele in the practice. We also can't forget that marketing and having the right people, the right training, the right culture, the right sales tactics in your practice, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well, is going to be critical when it comes to truly growing and getting scale in your anti-aging clinic or elective medical practice in 2021 and beyond. So that's what we're really going to be unpacking here today. Very excited to be here with you guys, and I guess we will just go ahead and get started. So before we jump in, I always like to start with beginning with the end in mind. This is a slide I like to start out with, regardless of the topic I am speaking on, because it's very critical to all, regardless of what you're working on in your business and your practice, you always need to keep the end goal in mind, what you're actually trying to accomplish. So first and foremost, I would ask you all, what is your revenue goal in 2021? All of us should have revenue goals, right? What is your plan? What is your specific strategy? And do you have that mapped out for how you are going to hit that revenue goal in 2021? And then, so the ultimate question is going to be, how do you get from where you are today to where you want to be? So at the end of Q4 2021, and then also setting goals for the next year in 2022. And I can't believe we're already, in the middle of September. This year has totally flown by, but these are some things that we all need to, always keep in the back of our mind, and we always need to have that end goal. So quick state of the industry. I always like to do a little state of the industry. So anti-aging market has rapidly been positioned as one of the most rapidly growing. I'm sure we are all seeing this in our practices. Projected net worth of 191 billion back in 2019, estimated to see a compound annual growth rate of around almost 6% between 2018 and 2023. So the industry is definitely not slowing down. Also, I wanted to bring in some state of the industry as it relates to medical aesthetics, since we are seeing a moving trend in anti-aging clinics offering aesthetic treatments in their practice, whether it's some type of fat reduction to assist with a weight loss patient, or maybe it's fillers and toxins and things like that to kind of treat the overall patient from inside to out. We're seeing a huge trend with that as well. We're also seeing that on the other side with medical aesthetic practices, venturing over to the anti-aging side and incorporating hormone therapy and health optimization treatments and things like that in their clinics. So I think we're seeing a lot of combination come into the industry as well when it comes to practices. So according to PatientNow data, so I actually organized some aesthetic practice revenue data. Oops, sorry about that. Something popped up. According to the data I organized, I was on a panel a couple months ago for an association. All in all, data was up in terms of revenue, 35% in terms of Q1 2020 and 21. According to Medical Insights, aesthetic sales through June 2021 was up as well. We're seeing a prominent movement in the millennial market as well. And millennials, I talk about this as well. Millennials are not, your younger 20-year-olds, what you ultimately think. The millennial demographic actually ages up to almost 40 years old now. So we can't, disgrace. We have to embrace the millennial demographic and where they're searching for their hormone, providers, whatever it may be. And both industries are going to experience significant growth. So why you can't neglect marketing. So anti-aging medicine is elective. While it's definitely essential to the health of the patients that we are all treating, we also need to keep in mind that insurance is typically not a huge part of the picture, right? So patients aren't forced to come to you because they're sick or they need their teeth cleaned or whatever it may be. They're choosing to come to you and spend their own disposable income dollars, which can sometimes, be very expensive. It can be upwards of thousands of dollars, right? Or maybe it's a couple $100 every single month if they're doing, hormone therapy or whatever it may be. Consumer demand's definitely up. This is on both sides of the spectrum, and both industries will continue to experience that growth. Some Google search trends, I thought these were very interesting, so I wanted to share them. And this is showing that we are in a very exciting time in this industry, definitely not slowing down. Consumer demand is up. So some things that we want to just pay attention to is that hormone replacement therapy actually reached its 12-month search peak in terms of search volume over the last 12 months. So over the last year, people searching keywords hormone replacement therapy was up in terms of its peak in June. BHRT actually reached its 12-month search peak in August. Fat reduction reached a 12-month peak in July 2021. And that could have come a lot from, last year people were sitting at home, maybe not going to the gym, whatever it may be. They probably put on some weight and maybe they want to, shift their attentions towards treating that and getting healthier, getting back in shape, fixing whatever, problems that patient might be trying to solve for. And then dermal filler, actually, and this is more on the aesthetic side, but I wanted to drop this in here as well, reach a 12-month high in June of 2021. So the top 4 ways to stand out, grow, and scale. So this is what we're going to talk about today. And regardless of what you're offering in the practice, whether you're offering, if you're doing hormones, medical weight loss, whatever it may be, the same principles apply to every single elective medical practice, right? So you need to have a blended and a targeted marketing strategy. So everything you do, it needs to be tailored to the patients that you are trying to reach. You need to track your leads and track your key performance indicators. So your leads would be potential patients that are reaching out to your practice and are interested in coming in for a consultation or lab work or whatever it may be. This is definitely where the most amount of money is lost as well. You need to have a strong sales culture as well, a unique selling proposition that's going to differentiate your clinic and your practice from the clinic down the road that may be offering the same scope of services and treatments and procedures that your clinic is offering for maybe a cheaper cost even, right? We need to understand how we kind of articulate what makes us different and why patients should choose us and why patients should stay with us, right? The majority of patient revenue is going to come from repeat business in your practice and not new business. And then we also need to have that universal buy-in and cultural belief. This is rarely talked about in this industry. And I think it is by far one of the key drivers when it comes to, scaling, when it comes to seeing success with your marketing, when it comes to retention, is universal buy-in and cultural belief. And this is going to come down to the team and the employees that you have in your business. And I understand that, finding good quality team members is really hard, especially for positions such as front desk or whatever it may be. Employee turnover is definitely a challenge we see in this industry, especially with, maybe younger demographics, perhaps millennials, whatever it may be. So making sure that you have that universal buy-in from everyone on your team and that they all are here to achieve the same goals and have that same success in their roles as it relates to the goals of the practice overall is also going to be vital. The first thing we're going to focus on today is a blended and targeted marketing strategy. So in this industry, there's actually only two ways you can acquire a new patient. The first is you have a new entrance into the market, which means they've never done any type of, elective or anti-aging, wellness, hormone treatment, whatever it may be, and you capture them before your competition captures them. And then the second way is you actually you steal them. So you steal them from the clinic down the road or another practice in your local market. And if someone is thinking of leaving their current provider, where do you think that they are most likely going to go to research to find a new one? The internet, right? So this is what we're really going to be talking about today. So here we have the modern marketing and sales ecosystem in elective medicine. So this could be anti-aging, this could be wellness, whatever it may be. If insurance is not a big part of the picture and you are offering cash-based treatments and procedures in your practice, all of these things apply to you. So you ultimately, at the end of the day, just need to so you need to increase the quality and quantity of patient opportunities into your practice. That's how you'll get growth, right? You need to convert them. And then you need to treat them. So providing that world-class patient experience, building that relationship, giving them the results that they're looking for, that they came to you for. Patients aren't buying products or a treatment or some type of regimen. They are buying feelings. They are buying a result. They are not buying products. And I like to reiterate that often. And then at the end of the day, you also need to keep them coming back for more. The majority of your revenue will come from your repeat business, not your new business. And we'll talk, we'll kind of unpack each of these segments a little bit today. And then we will do some talk on culture development, phone scripts, and things like that. So marketing to the modern medical consumer, there's only so many ways that they can find your potential practice, right? Even if it was word of mouth or a referral, let's say, where are they going to go first before they call your practice? They're going to go to the internet, right? So even if my best friend told me, or one of my sisters told me, hey, you need to go see this provider for XYZ. The first place I'm going to go start proofing them and researching them and seeing what they're all about is going to be the internet. I'm going to go to their social media. I'm going to go to their website. I'm going to read about, the provider's experience and their credentials. I'm going to read the reviews. I'm going to look at before and afters if it's something that is weight loss related or aesthetic related, whatever it may be, hormone related, maybe if they had hormonal acne, whatever it may be. So we also just need to keep in mind that you need to have a blended strategy, right? People aren't going to rely on one outlet, and you shouldn't rely on one outlet for patient acquisition. So you should not put all of your eggs in one basket. That's a big no-no. Make sure that you kind of tailor your marketing strategy and have a blend of, site development, SEO, social media. We can't neglect social media. I know it's a very intimidating, I would say, outlet and marketing medium to get started on if you haven't been super active on it. But we'll break that down, and I'll provide you guys with some very simple things that you can honestly start doing tomorrow morning. It's not difficult. It's just the key is really just going to be consistency and frequency and being authentic is what I would say. So in terms of marketing, there's only so many ways a potential patient can connect with your practice. There's only so many ways a potential patient can find your practice online. You have organic and paid search. So this is going to relate to primarily Google and major search engines. You have social media, you have your practice's website. And then you also have email marketing and text message marketing as well. Text message marketing is more invasive. It's more aggressive. I'm not going to really talk about that today, but the option is there. It can be powerful. I think text is great as it relates to appointment reminders, rebooking reminders, things like that. But you don't want to be blasting, your patient-based promotions every single week. I would say once a month is probably fine, or even twice a month if you kind of, train them to expect that text message from you. But that's definitely a much more invasive platform than email marketing, which is still very relevant and very powerful. And it is the cheapest marketing platform marketing, medium actually available, apart from whatever you pay for an email marketing provider, whether it's MailChimp or Constant Contact. I would also be cautious of both of those because they are not HIPAA compliant. But it costs $0 to send an email. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of these today. So in terms of search engine optimization, so this is really going to be just, are you showing up on Google? So when someone types in hormone replacement therapy near me, Are you showing up? When someone types in, weight loss treatment near me, are you showing up? So SEO drives actually 1000% more traffic than organic social media, which is why blended strategy is so important. Once again, where to get and near me, so keyword phrases with those words in those keyword phrases have grown over 200% in the past 2 years. Mobile web traffic has also consistently accounted for about half of all web traffic. So that means half of web traffic is being done on someone's phone, which is why we need to make sure that we're providing a world-class mobile experience for the potential patient opportunity as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So here's the $1 million question. If you could identify the top treatments that drive the majority of your practice's revenue? Have you researched the keywords used by online consumers to search for those specific treatments, specifically on Google, I would say? So what I typically say here is, apply what I would call the reasonable person test. In other words, what would the modern patient, the modern elective medical consumer actually search on Google to find you? So this is where we really need to start limiting that medical vernacular, I would say. So for instance, people aren't going to search into Google Bioti or Pelicom or whatever it may be, but they would type in hormone replacement therapy or BHRT near me. So that's just how you need to think about it when it comes to simplifying these keywords, because while we know manufacturer and device brand names in this industry, and we all know what these companies are, the mass of consumers will not know. So they will search by those simple keyword phrases of specifically what treatment they're looking for or what problems they're trying to solve for. So just some things to keep in mind. And as a rule of thumb, if you're not on the first page of Google, and you could do a simple test, I can certify all you guys on SEO today, right now. You could just go to Google, type in a treatment or procedure that drives the majority of your practice's revenue, and then enter your location. So if it's, BHRT, hormone replacement therapy, medical weight loss, whatever it may be, you can type in that and then your city, and then just see where you rank versus your local competition. Now, as a rule of thumb, if you're not on the first page in the eye of the modern consumer, you're definitely not being ranked for that term. People aren't going to go searching on pages 2, 3, and 4 of Google. I would argue a lot of people probably don't even know how to go to the next page of Google. People primarily stay on that first page. That just means that you need to invest some time, energy, perhaps money, if you don't want to do it yourself, to work with an agency or whatever it may be to, push those rankings up so that that you are actually showing up on the first page of Google. Website conversion 101. So let's say you do show up on the first page of Google, someone clicks on your listing, they're now on your website. Have you made any money yet? No, you have not made any money yet. In some cases, if you're doing a paid ad in Google, you just lost money. So now that potential patient opportunity is sitting on your practice's website, right? So now the ultimate goal is to convert them into either a phone call to your practice or an online form. It doesn't matter if now, while website design is very critical, it's very important. You could have the best looking website in the world, but if it's not converting visitors into forms and phone calls, your website is garbage, I would say. So the whole point is to, entice these people to reach out to your practice and choose you as their medical provider. So a couple things that we're going to jump through are it needs to be mobile responsive. So this goes hand in hand with the statistic I recently showed you all regarding that half of web traffic is done from a phone. So your website needs to be mobile responsive. Quick way to test this is to just pull up your website on your phone. And if there's pinching or scrolling, and if it's not formatting to fit the phone, you're definitely going to need to reach out to, a marketing agency or whatever it may be, or your website vendor, and make sure that you guys get that fixed. Prominent display of calls to action. So just contact forms. You can see an example of one here right on the screen. Be the best version of yourself, your full name, phone number, email. How may we help you? I would also add a box, perhaps, how did you hear about our practice? That's going to be good in terms of making data-driven marketing decisions, for the next month and the next quarter and the next year. So make sure that those are on every single page, not just the home page. Before and afters of patients, if this is related to something physical, whether it's weight loss, or maybe it was a skin before and after, things like that. So if it's either physical, if it's aesthetic, weight loss, whatever it may be, make sure that you showcase before and afters of the patients that you treated and how you have helped them, achieve confidence and the best results possible. Unique, consistent content throughout your site. So the big thing here is just don't copy and paste content from manufacturer sites or whatever it may be. Any content that you are not the original author of cannot be indexed with Google. So if you just bought a new device in the practice, you can't go to the manufacturer site and copy and paste the content and throw it on your site. Can't be indexed with Google. While you think you might be helping yourself, you're actually hurting yourself. So all content just needs to be rewritten in a way that is unique to your practice and your brand, I would say. Reviews. Make sure you have processes in place to gather patient reviews, to gather your happy patient reviews. I think we all agree that there are definitely some crazy patients running around in this industry, and we all get that. We're all going to get a negative review. That's definitely inevitable. But if we have a process and a strategy in place for how we're consistently gathering positive reviews, that's going to, level the playing field when we do get that one negative review. And actually an industry statistic is if you get one negative review, it takes 17 positive reviews to actually level that playing field. So just make sure that you have a process in place with your front desk, with technology and automation to, send someone a text or an email when they leave your practice, encouraging them to leave a review. And we'll talk about some software that you can use to assist with that. And then it also is good to incorporate video. So, this doesn't need to be a professionally made video. You don't need to go hire a videographer and spend, $1,000. You can literally use an iPhone now. You can buy a light ring off Amazon for $40. A tripod for maybe $40, pop it up in your office and film some videos once a month talking about the treatments and the procedures and the products or the supplements that you offer in your practice, and, providing overviews of those treatments and why someone should choose you, or what is your unique application to all of these treatments and procedures and offerings in your practice, and why someone should choose you over the other clinics in your local area who do exactly what you do. This will create a personal touch. People will get to know you. It'll resonate very well with the elective modern medical consumer, especially on the millennial side as well. We still can't neglect them because they are today's largest consumer group in this industry with full purchasing power, believe it or not. So video is going to be a great way to do that. And I would optimize that on your site. I would optimize that on social media. We'll talk about social media in a little bit. But I understand it might be uncomfortable for a lot of people, but just start doing it. Eventually you'll start getting comfortable. I would argue if you're always comfortable in life, you're definitely never growing. I think you need to consistently get out of your comfort zone to, achieve that next level of growth in your business. My little tips, tricks, and tools as it relates to your website. Blogging is also a key driver, and SEO. Blogging is still a very relevant strategy in 2021 and will continue to be a very relevant strategy. It is a key driver in search engine optimization. So when it comes to getting your site ranked on that first page of Google, blogging is going to be key. The big thing here is to just build off your top revenue driving treatments or gateway treatments to attract your first time patients. So whatever your top revenue driving treatments are, or maybe you have gateway treatments that might be treatments that bring in less profit per hour, and everyone should know, what your highest revenue generating treatments, what your highest profit margin treatments are going to be. They may be different in your practice. Maybe you have gateway treatments that are great at getting people in. And then once they're in your practice, you can kind of cross-sell, upsell, put them on a comprehensive, customized treatment plan over the next 6 to 12 months to kind of treat everything. Key will be consistency and frequency. So the big thing here is you can't just start blogging, then, stop doing it. The more you're consistent with it, the more you're frequent with it, you're going to see those results. The results as it relates to blogging are definitely residual as well. So we have blogs that, and in full disclosure, PatientNow, on our marketing side, we, write blogs for probably around 1,000 practices worldwide. We have 1,000 practices who utilize us for marketing as well. So we're blogging for these practices on a monthly basis, consistently and frequently. And we have practices who are still getting ranked. And I should have put this case study in here, but we have a client of ours, a good friend of mine as well. She has a ketamine clinic. She has an aesthetic kind of med spa and laser clinic. She has a couple different practices, and she actually is still getting ranked number one. I forget the keyword. I would have to go back and look, but she's still getting ranked number one organically in the entire world for a high volume keyword in terms of search volume from a blog that was written 7 years ago. So the power of blogging is that once you consistently do it, you're putting those blogs on your site just around your top revenue driving treatments and procedures. So quick example here, you have hormone therapy, estrogen, concierge medicine, vitamins, things like this. If you're blogging on that, it's such a residual value because those blogs will still hold power on Google years and years from now. And according to a recent study by HubSpot, the average word count for first page rankings on Google is around 2,200 words. So the big thing here is, and years ago, it used to be very, effective to write blogs with around 500 words a blog. It's changed now. Google recognizes and pulls higher word count pages to the first page over lower word count pages. So the big thing here is instead of writing 500 words a blog, it's actually much more powerful and effective and much more worth your time to write a blog that is around 2,000 words. And whether you hire a marketing agency such as PatientNow, or maybe you do it yourself, we have, there's plenty of practices out there that write blogs themselves. That's definitely time consuming. I would say people probably don't want to do that. You probably would all say that I'm crazy if I suggested that you go sit down and write a couple blogs of 2,000 words every single month in your practice. People normally laugh at me when I say that. There's even, if you don't want to hire a company such as PatientNow, there are freelance writers. You can go to Fiverr.com. It's Fiverr.com, where you can hire blog writers in the medical industry. You can buy blogs for around $175 a blog. So one blog per month, $2,000 a year, give or take, let's say. Well, $2,000 a year might be a lot of money for blogging, you may think. I would ask you, is $2,000 worth improving your organic search engine rankings for the top, 3 to 5 revenue driving treatments and procedures in your practice? Most people would say, yes, that's a no-brainer. $2,000 is definitely worth it. So just some things to kind of keep in mind as it relates to blogging. Next, we're going to jump over to social media. I also do a lot of talking on social media. I could probably talk for hours on social media, in full disclosure. For the sake of time, we'll just cover some of the main points. So the big thing here is it's going to be consistency and frequency. So just like blogging, there's actually only 2 reasons why any social media or any marketing strategy will fail. We call it DK or DE. So DK stands for a deficiency of knowledge, which means you just don't know what to do. And DE stands for a deficiency of execution, meaning you know what to do when it comes to social media, but you don't do it. And guess which one of those is actually more common? It's DE, a deficiency of execution. So let's say someone attends a webinar, or they attend a CME lecture at a conference, or some other presentation in the industry, and they get really pumped up about social media. They feel very motivated. They go back to their practice Monday morning. They meet with their staff. They create a content calendar, a media calendar, a promotional calendar. They put a strategy and a plan in place, and they kill it on social media for a couple months. But then it slowly falls off the list of their priorities and they just stop doing it. Well, doing nothing would have been the same, right? So you need to stay consistent and you need to stay frequent. It's always very important to evaluate your target market. So consider what treatments drive demand and revenue in your local area. Focus should be on conversion. So ultimately converting followers into paying patients, engagement, and education. So educating your patient base, educating your prospects that follow you on social media. Don't just post something to post. Post with the end in mind. What are you trying to accomplish? I would also add posting, random stock photos that you're getting from Shutterstock and throwing your logo on it aren't going to do anything. Make sure that you create some, engaging content, consider what outlets to focus on. So this will change depending, whatever your target market is. If it's older, it might be Facebook, or even Instagram, I would say, since Instagram is a target platform for millennials, but millennials go up to age 39. So Instagram and Facebook are definitely going to be the biggest two. Avoid comparative living. I like to add this because I know, as I disclosed earlier, social media is very intimidating. I think a lot of practitioners and providers get very discouraged when they start out doing social media. I think they, sometimes they can't help it, but they often compare themselves to others and other providers in the industry who might be killing it on social media, such as Dr. Perlman here. She is a great physician. I've known her for many years. She's been a client for, probably over 5 years at this point. She is a great person, great business owner. To aging side of her clinic, and she also has a combination of aesthetics, but she does a great job on social media. And I actually remember having a conversation with her many years ago when she had probably 1,000 followers on Instagram or 500 followers on Instagram, and now she has almost 50,000 followers on Instagram. I think she's around 45,000 right now. Why? Because she stayed consistent and frequent in posting that engaging content. It's great to repurpose your content as well across all platforms. So if you are creating a video or a post, just make sure that you repurpose that on your other platforms. And then just make sure that you're tracking and managing and measuring the results. So, ultimately, how many leads did you get from social media last month? How many of those convert into consultations? How many consultations showed up? And how many actually became loyal paying patients? So quick ideas of some things to post. And I threw Dr. Perlman's Instagram handle on here as well. So it's Pearl MD Rejuvenation. If you guys are just looking for some ideas, I think getting ideas from other practices and providers is great. So you can just go to Instagram and type in her handle if you kind of want to see the types of content that she's posting. And now, of course, everyone's going to have a totally different brand. Everyone's going to have a different unique selling proposition in your practice. So she has a very specific brand. Yours might be a little bit different, but just to get some ideas, I think it's really great to learn from other providers. Before and after photos and videos, if it's something physical, as I mentioned earlier, treatment overviews with providers. So I talked about this when it came to your site. If you're filming videos, talking about why your, HRT is better than another practice, or the technique that you use or the device you use, whatever it may be, is better than another practice. Make videos around that. Credential yourself, credential your providers, credential your team and your business overall. Patient experience videos and testimonial videos. I think using Instagram Reels is very powerful for this. You could also utilize Facebook, stories and live. I personally think you can get a little bit more engaging and creative on Instagram nowadays, but that will change given your target market as well, because boomers are going to be more gravitated towards Facebook, Gen X probably as well. But when you start dipping into that, older millennial pool, Instagram is definitely going to be a little an outlet that you would want to focus on. If you're doing any special offers or promotions, or if you have some, testosterone membership programs and things like that in your practice, highlight that on social media. If you're involved in the community, Dr. Perlman is very involved in her local community with charities and things like that. She always is posting things about that. Her patients, her prospects, her followers on social media love seeing that. And then also your signature differentiator. So whether you have a unique hashtag to your practice, I think everyone should create a unique hashtag to their practice and encourage other patients to share their experience on social media. And now, of course, this will change. Older patients probably are uncomfortable sharing their experiences on social media, and that's totally A-okay. But that younger demographic, or maybe, your 40-year-olds, they might be okay with sharing their experience on social media. So creating, a unique hashtag to your practice That'll definitely help you increase that user generated content that you can then share on your platform. And honestly, and I know social media can be overwhelming, and we only have time for so much today, but if anyone has any questions regarding anything I talk about today, I'll throw my email. I have my email on the last slide of this presentation. You can honestly shoot me an email with any of your questions, whether it's, related to social media or anything. I'm more than happy to answer them. I'm very responsive by email. The next question we have is, the next $1 million question would be, if you could gather 2 pieces of information from a potential patient, what would they be? It's going to be primary valid email address and mobile numbers. Here's why: to follow up with patients, right? So let's say a potential patient, I should say. So let's say a potential patient called your practice. They were interested, still kind of hesitant, shopping around, calling different medical providers for treatment XYZ to come in for a consult. They're not ready to make their decision. You didn't get their contact information. So you didn't get their phone number or their email address, and I mystery shop practices all the time. Let's say that potential patient opportunity hangs up the phone. They call a second clinic. That clinic handled the phone call better. They got their contact information to consistently follow up with them, or maybe send some encouraging remarketing emails to them over the next couple weeks. So when that potential patient was finally ready to make their decision to come in for a consultation, they go there instead of going to your practice. And the practice that followed up with them, that handled the phone call better, might have been a worse provider than you. But since they handled that first impression better, they go there. And you just lost that opportunity, which could have been worth, God knows how many dollars, right? This industry, to get treated, it's definitely not cheap, right? That's why we need to make sure that we have processes in place over the phone. As it relates to email and database management, email is definitely very powerful. You can leverage this in terms of, getting your existing patients to, maybe generate interest in other treatments or procedures you perform. It's great to leverage email and text for follow-ups, remarketing campaigns, people that maybe reach out to you, have not booked an appointment, have not booked that consultation, came in for a consultation, maybe didn't come back to get treated. It's also great for promotional marketing as well. So whatever exciting things you have going on in the practice, I think every practice should be doing something exciting in terms of a promotion. It doesn't necessarily need to be a discount. Just something exciting once a month, every single month in your practice. Send it out to your existing patients, send it out to your potential patients or your prospect database as well. Because your email database is certainly the most cost-effective way to market, because it literally costs $0 to send an email. And funny story, I have shared this story actually, this probably was 4 years ago. So I've probably been sharing this story for 4 years now. So 4 years ago, I was actually giving a lecture at the A4M World Congress, in the one that they do in Vegas every single year. And I was speaking on marketing. There was probably a couple hundred people in the room. And I was on a segment talking about email marketing. And I kid you not, there was a doctor in probably the, third or second row who kind of stood up and interrupted me and started kind of shouting at me, I would say, saying, "Why are you talking about email marketing? None of us in this room care about email marketing. Doctors don't look at emails. Patients don't look at emails. Why are you even talking about email marketing?" And while it was definitely a little rude, I guess I would say, my response is, how much money does it cost to send an email, right? As I already, alluded to, it costs $0. So let's say you send out an email campaign to 500 potential patients, and one person booked treatment from that email marketing campaign. Would it be worth it? It would absolutely be worth it, right? So we need to leverage email. Email marketing is not dead. It's definitely going to play a vital role in everyone's business. The next one, and the first one was definitely the longest. So the next three we'll kind of speed through, is the importance of tracking your leads and your key performance indicators. This is what we call KPIs. So the metrics and the data points that you should be tracking in your practice. So less than 10% of practices track their leads. This is 100% true. It's a very alarming statistic. So when it comes to, improving your prospect to patient conversion, one of the first things you're going to need to do is to record your phone calls. And the question I often ask people is, let's say I was a potential patient. I did my research. I did my due diligence. I call your practice. Should it matter who answers the phone? And most people think it should matter. Well, in reality, it should not matter who answers the phone. And here is why. Everyone in your practice needs to be doing and saying the same things over the phone, period. Because if you have one person answering the phone going, hello, it's a beautiful day at, New England Wellness Center. This is Audrey. How can I help you? And then you have another person answering the phone going, hi, can you please hold? Or doctor's office. That's a problem, right? So we need to create the script for how we're going to answer the phones. And then we need to create the script for how we're going to answer the most common FAQs about all of our treatments and procedures. We need to gather that primary valid contact info. We need to make sure that we have a talk track in place for whoever's answering the phone to ask that potential patient how they heard about you or how they found out about your practice. This is how we're going to, figure out what marketing tactics are working and which ones aren't. Utilize talk tracks, phone scripts. We'll talk about that. So, as I mentioned, if one person is answering the phone one way, one person is answering phone the other way, that's a problem, right? So we need to create the script for how we're going to answer the phone. We need to create the script for how we're going to answer the most common FAQs about all of our treatments and procedures. And then once we create the script, we need to stick to the script. We only should be enhancing the talk track based on facts, not feelings, and ultimately get results. So paying patients. And everything we do as it relates to our practice, it needs to be driven by data, performance data. So, okay, how many unique visits did I get to my website last month? How many of those visitors converted into an online phone call or form? How many converted into consults? How many consults showed up? And then how many actually booked a treatment and handed us money? And then most importantly, what did we actually spend to generate those paying patients last month? So what was our marketing ROI? So that's data. And that is the only way to measure based on facts and not feelings, two totally different things. So ultimately, how much can one lost patient opportunity cost your practice? Take into consideration lifetime value versus one-time value. And I preach about this a lot as well, because when people say, oh, well, yeah, maybe I lost that opportunity. Maybe I lost that lead, but it was only, $500. Well, that's not how much you lost. You need to think of and take into account what the lifetime value was of that patient opportunity. If you kept them coming back for treatment, if you kept that patient consistently therapeutic in your practice over the next 3, 5, 10, 15 years, that is their lifetime value. So that's why we need to, put such an emphasis, and why it is so important that we are tracking our leads, that we are tracking our patient opportunities, because one lost patient opportunity can cost your practice a lot of money, I would say. So what are the roadblocks and barriers to tracking leads? So I was in Cleveland, Ohio, probably a month ago. I was moderating a roundtable and a panel discussion live with an audience, and they were all elected medical providers. There was a mix of aesthetic and hormone clinics, anti-aging, wellness. It was a mixture. But we started talking about leads and tracking leads. And I asked everyone in the audience, okay, how many of you guys, could tell me right now how many leads you've gotten so far this month, or how many of you guys even track your leads? And, it was probably 2 of 100 people raised their hand. So I said that's okay. So let's have an interactive discussion about this and find out why. So why are you not tracking your leads? So what barriers are there to tracking your leads? And I really only heard 3 things from the audience, which was lack of knowledge. And these are things I've talked about, prior to this, but this is something I hear often when I'm on the road speaking and actually having conversations with practice owners and providers, such as You all lack of knowledge, so they just don't know how to do it, where to start, lack of time. Maybe, the front desk person has a growing list of things that they are now in charge of, and now they have to track leads, that they don't want to do that. You need to have someone dedicated that this is their responsibility. It doesn't need to be their only responsibility, but it should be one of the most important responsibilities that you need to delegate to someone in your practice. Delegate and elevate, right? If you delegate responsibilities and tasks and things like that out to other people, that's when you can grow. That's when you can get scale and elevate your business at the end of the day. And then lack of the right tools and technology to actually track them. While spreadsheets are great, I love doing spreadsheets. They're not scalable, right? So we need to learn how to use technology to do this for us, so that we don't have to worry about it when we, lock up our practice at 7 p.m. and go home. So the technology that every practice should be using is what we call CRM. It stands for Customer Relationship Management Software. In other industries, this is a widely used piece of software. You will not run into any business that is not utilizing CRM. However, in the medical space, specifically this industry and the aesthetic industry as well, it's very underutilized. People don't really know about it. This is a screenshot of our software. So we have a CRM system. It's our own proprietary software. We built it. It's not white labeled or anything like that. It's called PatientNow, actually, just because a lot of our aesthetic clinics also offer anti-aging and things like that. But the name of it is PatientNow. It's the CRM for the medical industry. It's specifically built for elective medical industries. All the vernacular is medical, built specifically for practices. It was built by practices in conjunction with our developers. We've had this system. This system has been refined for probably 20 years now. But anyways, there's many other CRM systems out there. The most popular one a lot of people would probably hear about is Salesforce. Salesforce is a great CRM, but it costs a lot of money to customize and train on it. It's a very complicated, complex CRM for a small business owner, a practice owner. You don't need something that robust. And there are other systems out there that you can use, PatientNow by PatientNow being one of them. But at the end of the day, it will capture and record your phone calls. So literally you can dial in and hear what your staff is saying on a daily basis. For those of you who aren't already listening to your phone calls in the practice, I would say that would be some great homework for you guys. Is next week, start listening what your people are saying over the phone. You'll probably be shocked to hear that what one person is saying is the complete opposite about what another person is saying. If that's the case, that is no doubt affecting your conversion rates and losing you money. You probably will want to never, ever, ever sleep again once you start listening to your phone calls, if you're not. So definitely something to keep in mind. Maybe start doing that next week, making sure that you have the mechanism in place to actually record your calls. So CRM software does that. And CRM will track your leads. So all of the patient opportunities that are coming into your practice, CRM integrates with your site. And you can literally see everyone that filled out a form, what they were interested in, what page they were on. You can listen to the phone call if they called your practice. You can track all those key performance indicators. So how many site visits did you get on your website? How many converted into forms and phone calls last month? How many converted into appointments? And where were those appointments? What lead source did those appointments come from? Did most of them come from Google? Did most of them come from social media? Were they a referral? Whatever it may be. You can assign opportunity revenue, track potential patient revenue. So for instance, over the last 30 days, how much potential patient opportunity is sitting in my practice's pipeline? And what is my front desk doing to actually move those potential patient opportunities into loyal paying patients or consultations, right? It's always about conversion. It will also help you automate your remarketing and your follow-up communication. So whether that's someone who reached out to your practice, didn't schedule a consult, whatever it may be, it will help automate that email and text message communication to them. If it's an appointment reminder, our system does that as well, and things like that, calendar scheduling, all that good stuff. It's also full-blown practice management, but a lot of practices choose just to use the CRM portion if they have a different practice management platform that they're using. It'll also help you monitor your marketing performance, your keyword ranking. So where am I ranked for, today for hormone therapy, hormone replacement therapy, Orlando, Florida. You can look that up in the CRM system. So it's just a great piece of technology, pretty low cost. Ours is $3.99 a month. I'm not sure what other companies charge. It's a great piece of technology to use. And I'm not saying you need to use our piece of technology. I'm not a promotional person. My goal here is just to educate. But if you don't want to use CRM software, just make sure you're using a spreadsheet then. But at the end of the day, spreadsheets are not scalable, but just make sure that you're tracking your leads, you're recording your phone calls, you're tracking your key performance indicators. This is how you will truly take your practice to the next level, is just monitoring and measuring all of the data in your practice so that you can make more informed marketing decisions moving forward. The next segment we're going to touch on here is strong sales culture and USP. These next two are going to be pretty quick. And when we talk about having a strong sales culture, we always need to talk about your big why. So not only why are you marketing, but why should patients come to you? And I want everyone to think about this for a second. Why should patients come to you? What makes you different? What makes you the absolute best practice at loving and serving patients? Because if you can't understand your why, that means your staff isn't going to understand your why. If your staff doesn't understand your why, then you probably shouldn't be doing any marketing in the first place, right? So it always starts and it ends with the big why. Selling the experience as well. Something else I preach a lot about is we are not selling hormone replacement therapy or BHRT or medical weight loss or, fat reduction treatment or skin tightening or, some holistic health, optimal health treatments, whatever it is that we're offering in our practice, sexual rejuvenation, urinary incontinence. We are not selling that. We are selling a result. We are selling a feeling. So we need to talk about selling the experience to potential patients. And when we talk about this, we always need to talk about what I call perceived value. So what is the patient perceived value? So the perceived value is going to be the patient perceived benefit minus the cost. So perceived benefit would be what they're going to get from getting that specific treatment or procedure. So perhaps they're going to feel so much healthier from the inside out. They're going, and because of that, and because of their confidence and their health is better, they're going to perform better at work. They're going to have a better life overall, social, personal, professional, minus the cost, whatever the cost is, equals the perceived value. So the key is here, the benefit needs to outweigh what the cost of treatment is. And that's how you unlock perceived value. And that's how you sell an experience and not a product or a service or a treatment. And what's going to drive all of this is having that unique selling proposition. So ultimately having that unique brand. And a question I often ask, and I would ask all of you guys who are on tonight's webinar is, how many of you guys think that you have a unique brand? And a lot of people will say, oh, my brand's very unique, Audrey. I don't need to worry about this. I have a very unique brand. I hear this all the time. I have a very unique brand, Audrey. And maybe you do. So here would be my question to you is, for those of you who think you do have a unique brand, if I were to walk into your practice today and take every single staff member, whether it's 5 or 50, into a separate room and ask them each individually, what is your practice's unique selling proposition? Or what is your brand? Would they say the exact same thing? And if you're thinking no, I would say, you know what? You're right. Your brand is unique because you're the only one who knows what it is. So, having a unique brand is critical. It is mission critical for differentiating your clinic from another clinic down the road. And not only you need to be able to articulate what that is if you are the practice owner or the one responsible for growth, but your entire team needs to be able to articulate that as well. And last, we have, universal buy-in and belief. So drink the Kool-Aid culture. This might seem kind of corny, but the reality is, everyone in the organization must believe and do the same things at the same time, all the time, period. Culture of sharing success and not hoarding skills. If you have a culture where you are hoarding skills, you're only going to be as small as that, right? So if you truly want to grow and scale, you need to surround your practice with those great, amazing providers and employees who can contribute to your business and your practice in terms of revenue. And then the key is, can you get all those people on the same page, right? And then it always comes back to belief, right? So the key is, well, do you believe this? So everything I talked about today over the last, 55 minutes, do you believe this? Because belief is going to equal behavior. And as we wind down here at the end of the day, what is the most important part of a successful marketing strategy? It's going to be you. It's going to be your leadership, the way that you lead and manage your people. If you are the one responsible for the growth of your practice in 2021 and beyond, your priorities. So what is the vision of your practice? What are the business goals behind your marketing strategy? Your people, their processes, and the tools, technology, and software that you choose to use. So you need to take the initiative, implement a plan and a strategy, dedicate the time, dedicate the resources. You need to be relentlessly committed to growth. Your staff needs to be relentlessly committed to growth and success, and whatever that looks like for them in their role as it relates to the success of the business and the practice overall. And then you need to not only hold your team accountable, but yourself accountable as well. So what type of practice do you want to be? What do you need to do? And when would be a good time to start? And it always comes back to belief, right? So people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Extremely relevant when we are treating patients' health and confidence and well-being from the inside out, right? It's always going to be how you made them feel. So thank you guys so much. Thank you once again to A4M. My name is Audrey Neff, Director of Marketing for PatientNow, RX Marketing, and RX Photo. We have a wide portfolio of products. My contact info is here on the screen as well. It's aneff@patientnow.com. Any questions you guys have regarding anything I talked about today, I'm very responsive by email. You can shoot me an email day or night. I will get back to you. Other than that, I'm very grateful to be, I was able to hang out with you guys for an hour or so. Hopefully some of you guys are planning to attend the A4M World Congress in Vegas. I personally am so excited. It's one of my favorite conferences of the year, so it's going to be great. I, along with a couple other colleagues of mine, we will be putting on the A4M business pre-conference track. It'll be the day before. On Thursday, it'll be a full 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. program. So if anyone is interested in registering for that, A4M has it up on their website, but we'll be covering everything from legal, compliance, how to reduce taxes in your business, consultation, closures, treatment plans, marketing, social media, all of that good stuff. So I just wanted to give a little shout out about that. But other than that, thank you guys so much. I hope everyone has an extremely productive week. I will give a quick look at the Q&A. I don't think I saw any questions come in, which is perfectly fine since we are just about out of time. But if anyone does have any questions, just shoot me an email. I'm very responsive, and hopefully I see you guys at the conference in December. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you so much for sharing this time with us and sharing this important information. And thank you to all of you for joining us, and have a great night and see you next time.